I showed you last week how the Climate Council was accusing us of misinformation over the threatened blackouts the week before. You know, when they called a couple of hot days a heat wave and we were warned not to use our electrical appliances lest the grid not have enough power to cope. Well, the Climate Council reckons the heat waves are getting worse and that the problem with power supplies wasn't the unreliability of wind energy, but the low levels of coal-fired power. Anyway, they didn't seem to like what I had to say in response, and they sent out another email to their followers telling their people that I'd launched a scathing attack that was quite the rant and accusing me of disinformation. Dear oh dear. I thought it might be worth asking them on the program, so we'll see what they've got to say. And I'm happy to say we've been joined by the CEO of the Climate Council, Amanda Mackenzie, joining us live from Melbourne. Thanks for joining us, Amanda.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
First up, with that last week of spring, we heard all this hysteria about a heat wave that, warning people to drink water and stay in the shade and would run out of power, and it was like 2 hot days and not particularly hot. Why do we talk a couple of hot days up as a heat wave these days?
Well, we did have the hottest spring on record, but of course Australia has hotter conditions in summer usually. But the issue for that period was the threat of blackouts in New South Wales. So 4 of the 12 coal units across New South Wales were out for maintenance. And increasingly, because our coal-fired generators are simply getting old, they're increasingly out for maintenance and they're at risk when there is hotter conditions. So this has been something that we've been seeing for some time. The Australian Energy Market Operator has been warning about it. And our message is that we need more renewable energy in the system so that we have more resilience under heat conditions.
But the point is, the reason we don't have more coal-fired power is because the policies that you support deliberately drive them out of action, and they're continuing to drive them out of action. And thank God we had them, because otherwise we would have had blackouts. They supplied over 60% of the energy in the national electricity market on those days. The problem is the wind doesn't blow all the time. And when we needed it on those days, the wind was only supplying about 7% of the power. This is the problem that you need to confront, don't you? That renewables are unreliable. How do we guarantee power when we need it?
Well, the thing is that renewable energy can be backed up with big batteries, with pumped hydro. These solutions are very much here now. The cost of batteries, for instance, dropped 20% this year. It's one of those bright spots in an inflationary environment. But our coal-fired generators, regardless of climate, we would need to be replacing those systems. And of course, there was a decade of lost action on our energy system. So we are playing catch up. But all of our coal-fired generators will be offline by 2038.
Yep.
And it is simply much lower cost to be going with renewables rather than coal.
Yeah, but wind and solar can't do the job. You know, batteries are far too expensive. You couldn't spend enough money to power the whole country for a day on batteries, let alone for 2 or 3 days. You couldn't do it to power the country for an hour. Pumped hydro, we're looking at $20 billion for Snowy 2.0. It's already overdue, not happening. So we need energy in this country. Now, you're committed to reducing emissions, of course. Surely you should throw your weight behind nuclear energy, because we know it works. It's working all around the world.
Well, the challenge for nuclear in our context, of course, is that the CSIRO has come out today saying we wouldn't be able to get a watt of nuclear power till the 2040s. And of course, all of our coal-fired generators would be closed by that time. We need a solution for the 2030s, not the 2040s.
Well, the first thing we need is power, right?
Huge amount more.
Primarily, we need power.
We absolutely need power.
And nuclear can deliver it, and renewables can't.
But nuclear can't deliver it till the 2040s, which is way too late. So regardless of what you think about nuclear, it doesn't solve the contemporary problem.
Well, I think the evidence shows that we could get nuclear power on stream in 10 to 12 years. So, but even if it was
well, that's
the 2040s,
not what the CSIRO says,
well,
Chris.
yes, but the CSIRO says a lot of things, and they're actually changing their numbers on nuclear every time they get criticised. But let's say it's 2040. Why is that too late? Why on earth would it be too late for Australia to go nuclear in 2040? Because it's not going to change the climate no matter what we do between now and 2040.
Well, the issue is that it doesn't solve the issue with all of that coal-fired generation. You said it was 60% of the system. going out by 2038. All of those coal-fired generators are very old. They're clapped out. As I said, a couple of weeks ago, we had 4 of the 12 generators in New South Wales out for maintenance at one time.
Yes, but we got by because
that is solar, that is wind.
But it won't do the job.
Solar and wind and batteries were actually crucial during the blackout warnings.
Yes.
We need more of that, but we need more batteries to soak up all of that sunshine. We're the sunniest country in the world. We're one of the windiest. We have huge capacity with our lithium reserves to be bringing on more batteries. It's a transition, so we need to bring on more over time.
If renewables plus storage can work, why is it not working anywhere in the world? Why, in fact, there's no comparable country even trying to do this?
Well, countries around the world are in the process of doing it. Of course, it is a transition.
Name the country. Name a comparable country.
Here.
Name a comparable country to Australia that's going down a renewables plus storage model.
Well, let's look at the United States, California in particular,
they
which
have
is
nuclear,
one of the biggest economies in the world.
And coal.
Well, they do. They do have those,
and
but in terms of the scale of renewables that are coming on in those systems, as well as across the United States. But there's also a different environment in Australia. It's not just me saying this, Chris.
The US has signed up to triple nuclear production.
Operator.
Yes, I know everything they say. But this is my point. You can't come up with a country that's trying to do what Australia's doing.
The countries around the world, 194 countries have signed up to Paris and said they're getting out of fossil fuels.
Yes.
And they're doing that in a whole variety of ways. In some countries, nuclear is absolutely appropriate and they already have nuclear industries. But we cannot solve our current problems with nuclear because that doesn't come online to the 2040s.
All right,
so, Chris, what are we going to do in the interim between now and 2040 when we can't have nuclear in that period anyway? So we need to be bringing on more energy.
We are tight for time.
Gas is extremely expensive.
I'm really pleased you came on, Amanda.
Well, thanks for having me on.
I'd love to have you back on. Let's catch up every couple of weeks because there's lots to talk about and we didn't have time to get through enough of it. That's Amanda McKenzie there from the Climate Council. There is no other country trying to do what we're trying to do. That's the problem. That's the evidence that shows what we're trying to do just might be impossible.